Are we sitting comfortably? Then I'll begin. Once upon a time, there was the unlikeliest of heroes, whose body was in the shape of an egg. Hello everyone, this is UK Gaming Network, I'm Zoidberg, and welcome to another episode of the Re-Review. In this series, I take a look back at all of the Amiga games that I reviewed for Games X and Amiga Action back in the early 90s, and see whether or not my opinions hold up all these years later. I'll tell you all about the games themselves, who made them, and occasionally some stories about how my reviews came to be. Most importantly, did my teenage self get the score correct? Or had his brain been scrambled? Keep watching to find out. This episode is a review extravaganza, as I'll be taking a look at all my reviews for Magic Land Dizzy, Bubble Dizzy and Dizzy Prince of the Yolkfolk, all released between 1991 and 1992 by Codemasters. If somebody was to compile a list of the most successful British video game companies, Codemasters would be right at the top, probably somewhere below Rockstar North. Founded in 1986 by Richard and David Darling, they had a very simple remit, and that was to make top quality games at budget prices. Their first game was BMX Simulator, which was first released for the Commodore 64 and then followed for the Spectrum and Amstrad a couple of months later, and it was an instant success. It received rave reviews and, priced at just £1.99, sold over 100,000 copies in its first year. It also kicked off a long series of releases with the word Simulator in the title. In 1987, another series launched which would forever go on to be associated with Codemasters. Designed by the Oliver twins, Dizzy was an action-adventure game where you jumped around platforms collecting items to solve relatively simple puzzles. In gameplay terms, it was fairly similar to the Magic Knight series that had previously been released by Mastertronic, only with a much simpler interface. Between 1987 and 1992, there were 8 main Dizzy games released across all formats, each with a new location to explore. There were also 5 arcade spin-offs featuring Dizzy and his pals, now known as the Yolkfolk. There was even a brand new release in 2020 thanks to a successful Kickstarter campaign, and you can play Wonderland Dizzy today on the official website, or download a Spectrum ROM. I'll put the link for that in the description. Throughout the 90s and 2000s, Codemasters would go on to build their name even further as a developer of high-quality racing games. Starting with Micro Machines, Colin McRae Rally and Tokka Touring Cars, right through to the official F1 game on modern consoles, and even a brand new WRC game coming in 2023. This success led to the company being bought by Electronic Arts for $1.2 billion last year. Now it's time to check out my reviews. Magic Land Dizzy was released in November 1991, both as a standalone release and as part of the 5-game Dizzy collection. My review appeared in issue 25 of Games X, where I awarded it 4 X's out of 5. Game of the Week in this issue was Moonstone: A Hard Day's Night, also on the Amiga. There's even a quote from me on the back of the box for the Dizzy collection itself, attributed to the game Fantasy World Dizzy, which I didn't actually review. This is due to the fact that the PR rep for Codemasters, who I had gotten to know through my Commodore 64 and Spectrum columns, rang me urgently for a quote so that the box could go to print. This was before I'd even had a chance to write anything. Naturally, the Dizzy collection now sits on my shelf, a pride of place behind me. Bubble Dizzy was released the following March, and my review appeared in Games X as well, this time in issue 45. Game of the Week in this issue was my exclusive review of Team 17's Project X. I'll be getting to that one soon enough. I gave Bubble Dizzy 4.5 X's out of 5. Lastly, Dizzy Prince of the Yolkfolk was reviewed in the budget pages of issue 38 of Amiga Action, where I gave it 90%. This was the same issue as my Aquatic Games review, which I covered in episode 3 of the Re-Review. Both Bubble Dizzy and Prince of the Yolkfolk were available in a second collection of 5 Dizzy games called Dizzy's Excellent Adventures. I liked the presentation of all 3 games, stating that they were more impressive than many full-price releases. Budget-only releases are usually of a fairly low quality on the 16-bit machines, but Codemasters seem to release a lot of decent games for a low price. Are these still good games to play in 2022, or will I be left with egg on my face for having praised them so much? There's only one way to find out.
Right, so let's start this playtest with Magic Land Dizzy, the first of the 3 games that came out. All of the graphics in these games are by a guy called Lee Christian, and he's done some pretty decent cartoon artwork, I must admit. Oh no, Dylan is trapped in a bush. We'll come back to you later. Didn't get off to a very good start here because I'm supposed to have picked up that back door key so that I could get into the castle. I remember I took screenshots of every part of this castle when I did my review of this game, and actually pasted them all together to make one giant picture of it. I need to go and locate the power pill, which I believe is over here. What do you think you might need a power pill for? Yes, that's right, you need it to eat some ghosts. And as you can see, the ghosts are flashing, so I can now jump through them. So now that I have picked up Dora, I need to take her back to the castle and give her to Prince Charming, who will give her a kiss. There's no doubt that the Dizzy games... oh dear, fell in the water. There's no doubt that the Dizzy games themselves are aimed at a younger audience. Her and Prince Charming have some business to attend to. I'm sure they do. So who should I attempt to rescue next? Let's go for Denzel, I think. See if I can remember how to rescue him. Need to pick up that feather duster first and foremost. I'm going to drop the power pill because I don't think I need it right now. Need to go and get this big stick over here. The music is very pleasant. It's just a shame that there's no option to have sound effects. Why can't I pick up the cat? That's how you get rid of the troll. You hit the goat with a big stick. I mean, once you know the solutions to the puzzles, these games become a bit of a war of attrition, where you're just trying to do the game without dying too often. I certainly enjoyed these games more when you first started playing them, and you were just exploring the levels and finding out where you could and couldn't go. Oh, you idiot. No! Game over. Ah, damn it. So as I'm playing these games in the order that they came out, we'll move on to Bubble Dizzy next. Once again, graphics are by Lee Christian. And Bubble Dizzy is an incredibly simple concept. You've just got to jump on bubbles and try and get to the top. You have limited oxygen supply, which you can top up by picking up canisters of oxygen on your way up. You can also pick up pearls. It's pure arcade game. Yes! So it's as simple as that, really. You just have to bounce on bubbles and get out of the water. It's one of those games that I think, because of the score-based nature of it, it's going to be better if you're playing it at the same time as your friends. So it would be a good game that back in the day, that if your friends came round to play some games, you would load this one up and see who could get the highest score. Oh, close. Oh, yes. Did it. Excellent. Obviously, the only problem with suggesting that this would be a good fit for the mobile market is the fact that Codemasters are now owned by EA, and we know what EA do with mobile games. This is exactly the type of game that's going to make me swear a lot. Come on, I'm nearly at the top. Level 4. I'm doing really well here. It's so easy to get frustrated with this game and just fall all the way back down to the bottom if you're not concentrating. Game over, player one. I think I did pretty well there. That was level 5 that I got to. So let's move on to the last game of the 3, Dizzy Prince of the Yokefolk, which was released in late 1992. As you can see, there's not a lot that's different about this game when you compare it to Magic Land Dizzy. Dizzy games are all very similar. This is once again a moment where you're going to jump onto a moving platform and have to continue moving with it. You have once again got a very stingy amount of lives to do this game. And I think that's probably the biggest flaw in the Dizzy series. So look, I'm already on my last life. This is not good. Once again, it's got some really nice music playing as you're playing the game. I mean, as pocket money games, it's very easy to see why the Dizzy games were as popular as they were. Because for $1.99, this would have been on the Commodore 64 and Spectrum and Amstrad. For $1.99, you can't really complain. I think the Amiga version was $7.99 on release. St. Peter's special cheese. That's holy cheese, right? Okay. I bet you I'll go and put that in the cage. Hooray! So I've caught the little creature. Oh my god, that was close. Almost lost my last life there. And I did lose my last life there. Game over. So that was Prince of the Yokefolk. So let's move on to the overall summary.
You know what you're going to get with a Dizzy game, and consequently both Magic Land Dizzy and Dizzy Prince of the Yokefolk are very similar games. Both feature plenty to discover on initial plays and some nice platforming sections, even if I do still find it odd how the moving platforms work in these games. Dizzy games are at their best in the first few hours of gameplay, where you're exploring the world and discovering where all the items are located. These ones are no exception. They're never going to rival the likes of Rough and Tumble as a platforming challenge, but they're not really trying to. There's an effortless charm to this series that makes them endearing to play. The puzzles themselves are not going to tax anybody who is experienced in adventure games, and consequently the challenge comes from discovering what order you need to solve them in. Despite this, having only 3 lives to complete the entire game and no save game option means that they can get a little bit frustrating. Bubble Dizzy is an enjoyable but very short-lived arcade game. It's a simple pick up and play title for when you've got a few minutes to kill. Nothing more, nothing less. Sadly, the random nature of the gameplay does start to sap away the fun after a while. It's probably the best of all the Dizzy spin-off titles, and fine as part of a 5-game collection, but you'd have felt robbed if you'd paid £8 for it. Presentation is where none of these 3 games can be faulted. The artwork is colourful, well designed and beautiful to look at. It's a shame that there's only music accompanying the action, but the tunes do manage to burrow their way into your brain without causing too much offence. Here's how I'd rank the Dizzy games available on the Amiga. As you can see, there were quite a lot of them. If I was reviewing the games today, Yokefolk is definitely the best and would get 8 out of 10. Magic Land Dizzy 7 out of 10, and Bubble Dizzy 5 out of 10, if I was feeling generous. Another re-review has drawn to a close. I hope you found it enjoyable. If you like this one, then all other previous episodes are available in a playlist on the channel. Please feel free to give us a like and subscribe, we really appreciate every single one. All opinions expressed in this video are entirely my own, but I'd really like to hear whether or not you agree or disagree with me. Please feel free to post in the comments. I'm going to be back in the new year with the next episode, But if you'd like a clue as to what game I'm going to be covering, just stick around till the end and you'll get a little musical hint. Look me up on Twitter at UKGenZoidberg if you want to ask me anything about gaming or my time as a reviewer. Until then, happy retro gaming and have yourselves a fantastic Christmas and New Year. Bye for now.